Great. I think we're recording. Great. Hey, so good evening, everyone, and a super warm welcome to everyone that's joining this call. It is recorded, so that's very exciting. My name is James Sanderson, and I am what is called a PMD with the Juice Plus company, based in Memphis, with offices in London and Italy and Spain and all over the world, really. And it's my enormous pleasure to be interviewing tonight Luce Hawkins. That's correct, isn't it?
That's correct.
Yes. I got you right. Yeah, good. And now you are National Marketing Director.
Yeah.
So we are really, really pleased to have you here, and we're so fascinated to hear your story. So can you just, Luce, can you just tell a little bit, first of all, a little bit about your background? That would be great.
Yeah, of course. So my background, I did the typical go to school, go get your grades, go to uni and go into the corporate world. So I did pretty much exactly what my dad told me to do to be successful in this world. I studied events and marketing management at University of Gloucestershire, and it was a 4-year degree. It was a 1 year out in industry, so I could get some experience, and absolutely loved it. Really passionate about events and marketing, and then went into the corporate world, and my vision was work in London, work for a really big company, work my way up, earn lots of money, have a nice car, have a good house, retire, and everything will be great. So that is my background. Now I am National Marketing Director. I've got one little baby. She's 20 months old. I've got another baby on the way in 10 days. And I just hit 30 this year. And I've just moved back from Australia after living there for 5 years.
Wow, amazing. What an experience. So, tell us, obviously you've got this wonderful, career that you had and everything, and you were like absolutely going for it in the corporate world. What switched you into the Juice Plus world?
So I actually, weirdly, I'm like 5 minutes from the Juice Plus head office here at home, but I discovered Juice Plus in Australia. So someone said to me, my upline, she overheard me talking about my Crohn's disease to someone on the sideline when I was watching hubby play football. And she introduced me to the product, and I then went on the product, had great results, and she told me to just have a look at the business side of things. And literally...
Yeah, sorry,
yeah.
Liz, can I just ask you, what were the results that you got with the product with your Crohn's disease?
So with my Crohn's disease, I was told, so I had emergency surgery when I was 18. So I was actually rushed into hospital on my 18th birthday because my ileum had swollen. So something in my body was not going quite right. I was told once I'd had surgery that I couldn't eat vegetables raw. They had to be really, really cooked. And the more heavily processed foods I could eat in my diet, like 2-minute noodles, tin spaghetti, all that kind of stuff, the better my life would be. Now, this is going back 12 odd years ago. So when someone said to me about fruits and veggies in a capsule, I was kind of like, okay, well, I can't eat veg right now. I'll eat them. I was basically from about 4 or 5 flare-ups a day. Now, my flare-ups, thankfully, weren't like, I didn't take medication. It was very much controlled by diet or just learning to live with it. So mine was like going to the toilet, feeling sick, literally having to have a nap straight away, or just being really, really in pain. 6 months on the product, that had all reduced, and then I was able to really start implementing vegetables into my diet. So actually in 6 to 9 months, I was able to move on to a very heavily plant-based diet.
Wow.
And then 12 months later, so 12 months from taking the product and changing my lifestyle, my gastroenterologist cleared me of any inflammation in my body whatsoever. And this will be my 3rd year clear of any inflammation. So I've not had a single problem.
That is phenomenal. Well, thank you for that, and thank you for sharing that, because obviously it's quite, in some respects it's quite a private thing, but thank you very much for sharing that. So so anyway, so you heard about it on the touchline, so to speak, and then things started progressing in terms of getting involved, with Juice Plus as well.
Yeah, so I was like raving fan. I was like telling everybody about it, and I was like, go to my friend Kim. And she said to me, Luce, come to these events. And I was like, no, sorry, busy. No, sorry, busy. And I eventually went to an event and she was like, you should so do this business. And for me, my ego was, I don't need this. I'm climbing the corporate ladder. Like, I'm so like, I went to uni. I'm not going to sell fruits and vegetables in a capsule. But I decided just to jump in anyway, because she was like, hey, look, at the time I was paying for a visa, which was nearly £10,000 to stay in Australia. I was paying for a wedding, which was close to 30,000. So any extra money was great. And she just said, hey, Luce, look, if you want to earn an extra $200-300, so your product is sort of paid for and it's free, just refer a couple of people a month. And I thought, well, you know what? Yeah, I could do that. You know, that's one bill I don't have to think about, done. And I just sort of went with it and just saw the progress. And at each step over the way, the belief grew until like I hit my like aha moments, which I've got written down to speak in a couple of other PowerPoints. Yeah.
What was your step-by-step process? Because some people will be thinking, well, look, you know, I've been doing this for a while and maybe I feel like I haven't made any big steps. So what were some of your step-by-steps that were going along that were like encouraging you?
So I literally was just like, right, what's the next goal? Okay, how do I hit the next promotion? Because in Australia you had it wasn't like the UK where every month it sort of renews. So if you like, you know, if you get to SDD, have a few months off, you can still hit SC. In Oz, you have to go from, it's like 10 days from when you start up, 40 days, 60 days. So every time I hit a milestone, you know, my upline would be like, right, Luce, you've got 10 days to do DD. I was like, okay, how many people do I need? 3. Okay, I'll go get them. And so I just followed it that way because I was chasing the bonus money. Right. And also, actually, I was probably chasing the significance. I'll be really honest. I was chasing the pats on the back because I didn't get that in my corporate career. No one told me I was doing a good job, even though I hit target every year. No one sort of claps for you in those environments. So I was also sort of being like, yeah, go me. So that for me, that's literally all I did.
And now you said you went to an event. What did you go to? And what was your feeling when you went to the event?
So I went to, what was it called? Gosh, I can't even, it's just a health and wellness event.
Right.
It was in a pub, or like in Australia, they're called taverns. So it's in like a pub restaurant kind of thing. Lots of people were sat around. I think there's about 40 people. And there was a few people speaking. And so it was just listening to stories on the product. So I listened to one guy who had amazing heart health, another lady who, I think it was postnatal depression, and another one around putting on weight. Yeah. And I was like, okay, this is really cool. And then they showed the bonuses and they showed the business. And I was like, oh, actually, because there's a lot of people in here who are all in the same boat as me. Well, they all seem to be jumping on. And the girl asked me afterwards, like, do you want to join? And she gave me the iPad with the sign-up form. And I was like, yeah, let's go.
Go for it. Yeah, good. And by the way, who was your sponsor?
So my sponsor is Kim Tyack in Australia. So I'm in the Tamara Hunter, Natalie Baldock leg.
Right, interesting. That's very So is that up from the UK, that line?
Nope, all Australian and then American. I'm the first UK NMD in our entire leg.
Wow, amazing.
Well, sidelining with Lucy Davis, who's also the other orphan.
Good for you. So, all right. So, you got going, and your first 6 months, you were just going through the positions and just chasing the position. I think that's great, having that focus.
Yeah. So the first 6 months for me, so you have 6 months to hit SSC in Australia, and that came with a $1,200 bonus, so about £600. The bonus wasn't massive in Oz, obviously, compared to the bonuses here, but for me over there, that was some significant money. So all I did was keep sharing my journey. Like, I was so new into my health journey. Because I went from not even being able to exercise to starting to play sport, starting to invest in personal development. That was something that I'd never ever bothered to do either. Yeah. And I just went to as many events as I could. I ran lots of events, but I didn't run any business events. So this is, when I was thinking about it, I was like, actually, I only ever ran customer events, and the business side just sort of came with it. I did smoothie events, salad in a jar events, raw dessert events, salad in a jar.
Oh, salad in a jar. Okay.
Yeah, they're my biggest hit, those ones. And we did some here this summer as well, and they were a big hit. Oh,
salad in a jar. What's the big attraction of salad in a jar then? What's the big?
It's sort of like a meal prep. So it's sort of like a really easy meal prep. Like, meal prepping blows my mind. I get way too consumed with it. So it's literally just explaining to people the science behind how to build a salad in a glass jar, to have it in the fridge and then to grab it. So it's literally like, there's a science behind what foods you layer up, because you put the dressing at the bottom and those kind of things. And it's kind of a shake and go lunch.
Let me ask you, moving forward a bit, what was your first big breakthrough?
So my first big breakthrough was when we were actually running for QNMD. So I came back to the UK 2 years ago in May. I can never remember what the dates are. And 2 days after landing, I found out my mum was diagnosed with breast cancer. And 3 days after that, I found out I was pregnant with Parker. Now, it was a lot to take in. I went back to Australia, and I went back to my boss, and I said to him, hey, my mum's been diagnosed with breast cancer. She starts chemotherapy probably in the September, October time. I'd like to be there for her first chemo session, hold her hand, be with her. And he turned around and said, you haven't got any holiday, you can't go. And I was like, no, I don't think you get me, I'm going. And he said, okay, cool, but you're not getting paid because you don't have any pay left. So it was at that point that I looked at my business that had been creating this cool play fund, travel fund, whatever it was. And I went, you know what? If I work my butt off now and I hit QNMD in September, that bonus will pay for my flights and it will pay for my 2 weeks unpaid leave from work. So I literally just went to town on it, and it did. And we got there. We got there on the 10th of September. I got paid the amount I needed to get paid, flew back, and I got to hold my mum's hand through her first chemo session. I got to watch my best friend get married. She was getting married at the same time. And I got to spend a little bit of time with my mum. I think I was about 20 weeks pregnant around then. So it was nice to take that time out as well. But it made me realise that the corporate world was not going to allow me the freedom that I wanted to have, and that this business was staring me in the face. This business has always had my back. Any crisis, family or otherwise, it's been there for me.
Yeah. Now tell us though, okay, you decided to get really serious, right? A lot of people say, well, I'm already serious. I kind of feel like I'm already serious. But the big question people are going to want to know is, what did you actually do to start really moving your business forward with massive momentum? Because you obviously saw that what you were already doing was working. So I'd like to ask, first of all, what were you already doing that got you to like a sort of boiling point? And then what furthermore did you do to really launch yourself up?
So I was just staying consistent. I'm really big on social media anyway, because I've lived in a lot of countries. So I have documented my life in a way that I want to let my friends and family know what's going on. I was lucky enough to have some really strong teams. So I had the girl that first joined my team. She was literally following me promotion for promotion and growing a really beautiful team that way. And then I had some quite strong legs that really saw the vision that I was really we were really all working together. But
where did those people come from, those other strong lines?
They were all customers and people like locally from me that I just talked to, and they decided to join. And then a couple were from the UK. So I had mostly Australian legs, and a couple from the UK who'd been watching me for a while, but my strongest was over in Oz. And then when we decided to go for Q, I got a massive piece of paper and just drew a plan. Like, I'm a very visual person, so I put all my team out and worked out what we needed for it. So in Australia, I needed, oh God, can't even remember the pay line, but I had to have 3 SCs who were qualified,
yeah,
and a certain number of pay line.
yeah.
And you had to do it in a certain time frame to hit it. So we worked out how we could do it. I mapped it all out, and then I spoke to all of the people in the team, told them my vision, and then I just put a picture of me and my mum as my phone background. So you look at your phone, I think I probably look at my phone 200 times a day. Every time I looked at my phone, it reminded me of why I was doing what I was doing. And I was working full time still. So this was me hustling in the mornings, in my lunch break, and when I got home. So it was still a couple of hours a day, and I was still able to do, and then on the weekends,
And what's
pretty much all the time.
thing that really got you traction? What were some of the things that you were doing on social media that really?
It was literally just documenting my journey. It was literally just inspiring other people. I always sort of joke, like with my team, that I'm someone who's quite honest and quite sarcastic on my social media, and that's mostly my team and my customers as well. Like, I don't make my own almond milk. I don't make kombucha. I think it's a bit odd, but that's me and that's my team, and we never tried to be any different. So for me, it was just showing up, constantly reminding people that I'm taking the capsules. Back then, stories didn't even exist, so it was literally just posts. Did videos. It was actually just reaching out to people who I noticed, you know, if they posted, oh, I'm so exhausted again, or I've got tonsillitis again, I'd reach out to them.
What would you say to them when you reached out to them?
So my first ever customer was a girl who posted that she'd got tonsillitis for the 4th time that year, and she was really fed up, and I just popped her a message and I said, hey Han, I've just seen your post about tonsillitis. So sorry to hear that you're sick again. I used to get tonsillitis all the time, especially with traveling, until I started implementing these capsules, and they boost my immune system. Do you want some more information? And she was literally like, I don't care what they are. I don't care how much they cost. I can't afford to be sick anymore because I've got no sick pay. So she was obviously losing hundreds of dollars a day by being sick. So she was just ready. So it was looking for those sort of buying triggers.
Yeah.
And for me, it was talking to a lot of people. People could see I was changing. So I'd go down to the football club every weekend, and people were like, oh my God, Luce, you're looking really good. You're losing some weight, or your skin's really clearing up, or you're so bubbly. Like, what are you doing? And I'd just be not afraid to share.
Wow, well, that's great. So it's sort of really built organically, but it's very much from your story. Tell us about your DMO. So what do you actually do every day?
So the first couple of years, I really struggled with this. When people were like, what's your DMO? I was like, I don't know. I just get up and do stuff. Because for me, I don't really like having a schedule. I don't really like but when I had to get serious about my business, I needed to have a DMO. So I use the app Teamzy. So I don't know if anyone's heard of it or uses it here, but it's pretty much Teamzy, TEAMZY.
Right.
So I met the guys in America, and so it's basically it's a website, but you can sort of put it on your phone. Looks like an app, but it's not an app. And it's designed for network marketers, and it's designed to help you with your DMO. You put your goal in, and it tells you how many people you need to speak to a day, how many invites to send, people to add, so on. And so that's what I do. So mine is, so it depends what your outcome is. So you put in a financial outcome that you want, and it will tell you how many people to speak to. So mine is like, speak to 10 people a day, send 3 invites, add 3 people, do 5 follow-ups. And then it's got little things like post to social media, take your capsules, and a few other things. So that I follow that every day. And then I have a personal DMO as well. So for me, it's getting outside for 15 minutes, it's listening to a podcast and things like that.
Like personal development, yeah, to build yourself up. Yeah. Could you just repeat that again, what you do on a daily basis? Some people might not have picked that up. So it's...
Yeah. So it's 10 conversations. So literally I start, and it's a power hour. So this is all done in an hour for me. Wow. And it's an hour before my child wakes up, because actually my daughter's really triggered by me being on my phone. If I pick my phone up, I'm not kidding, she'll scream and smack it out my hand. I can't even sit at my desk and do work without her kicking off. So it tells me that I've probably done too much of that. And so the last few months, I've actually really had to be quite strict with my time. And it has to be an hour in the morning, and then at night when she goes to bed.
Okay.
And then in her nap time. So it was speak to 10 people,
Yeah.
It's add 3 new people. So I do that from groups. I go into specific groups that align with me and my mission and my things that I like, and I make connections and add them. Invite 3 people to the product or the business. And for me, that's inviting them and adding them to our funnel groups.
To what?
Our funnel groups. So we've got like a product group and a business group that we get people to watch videos on.
Yeah. I like that. And can I just try to see the 10 conversations? Who's that with?
So whatever it comes up with in my Teams, it gives me a list of people. And so I've imported my Facebook list, and it tells me the next 10 people. So some of them might not be my tribe and not be interested anyway, and I'll just delete them out of there. But it literally will just give me a list, and I'm like, okay, cool, I'm going to go and talk to those 10 people. So I just look through their social media, do a few comments, reach out to them, just kind of like a, hey, how are you?
That sounds great.
That kind of stuff.
We have 3 new people, invite 3 people, the 10 conversations. What else was there?
And 5 follow-ups.
5 follow-ups.
So it will actually schedule your follow-ups. So it will, that was my biggest downfall, was my follow-ups. I'd forget how many people I spoke to. I'd forget who I spoke to, what we spoke about. So by adding notes into this app, it's able to tell me who I'm supposed to follow up with that day.
Yeah. Brilliant. Okay. Well, that's going to be very, very helpful, people. I mean, yeah. Okay. So what's your 5 top tips for success?
5 top tips for success for me are, number 1 is you have to put your health first. Your health has to be the top of your list every single day. If you're not super serious about looking after yourself, I don't believe you can inspire others to do the same and get customers. And we know that we're a customer focused business. So that is super, super, super important. Number 2, consistency. So consistently taking the product. And for me, it's consistently sharing your journey. I don't think your journey ever ends. Even if you think that you've got to the weight that you want to, or you look the way you do, I still don't think your journey ever ends. So it's always just showing up and showcasing that, consistently turning up to events, making those commitments and things like that. Number 3 is having a vision that gets you up in the morning. So having a vision and putting it somewhere. So when you're having those down days, or you're having those I want to quit days, make sure you've got a vision that's really so connected to you that it pulls you out of that. Because you're always going to have down days, but it's how we pick ourselves up. Number 4 is be real, raw and honest. Don't try and be anybody else in Juice Plus, because we don't need another one of someone else. All we need is another one of you. So showing it, like, as I always say to my team, you'll never see me post drinking a green smoothie or running a marathon, because it's something that I wouldn't do. If I started posting that, my entire network would know that I'm not being authentic. So what
is being authentic for you then?
Being authentic for me is literally just being unapologetic. So I am very honest about not enjoying being a stay-at-home mum. Like, I am very open and honest about how that's not really something for me. Like, I'm not a maternal person. I love my daughter. I love being able to stay home with her, but I find it a struggle. So I'm constantly sharing that in a positive way, not, oh God, I've got to be stuck at home with my kid again today. Because it also then allows I'm starting then to connect with people who are very like-minded to me, because I want to connect with people like that. Or if I will never post that I've had a McDonald's or I've had a Domino's or anything like that, even though sometimes now and again I will. But if I have a day where, okay, maybe I've eaten some Marks and Spencer's cookies, I might post something like that. Or if I've, what other things do I do? I post a lot of memes and a lot of jokes around things like that, because that is just who I am. So for me, it's it's just turning up as me and not filtering anything really.
And what's number 5?
Number 5 is getting out of your comfort zone. Like, if you literally if you think that you can join this business and not make any new connections, not talk to people, not get out there, not do anything, and your business will grow, that's just absolutely not going to happen. You've got to consistently and then that's not go and jump out of a plane. It's just okay, I've got a chicken list, just go for it. Just message that one person on your chicken list and see what happens, because you will always 100% be rewarded for doing that.
Yeah, brilliant. All right, well, look, we're just coming up to 9 o'clock, and in a moment, we're just going to open it up for questions. And this actually, I think, is the most valuable part of this whole process of interviewing a VIP, superstar, is that we get to be able to ask our individual questions. So all of the people that will be listening to this, they don't get to ask, they don't get to ask their question. But everyone on the call now does. So, just be having a think now of what question you would most like to ask Luce, because frankly, we have got an absolute expert, a superstar here, someone who's self-grown, a self-starter. It's unbelievable. Really, Luce, what you've achieved is really phenomenal. So how would you describe the excitement of the opportunity that we've got here? For the new people looking at it for the first time, they say, oh, well, I don't quite get this. How would you describe the excitement you feel of the opportunity that we've got?
For me, like, I've looked at so many other companies and I've also tried to I do run a separate business to this along the side, which is social media marketing, and this is something so different. The product we have, there is nothing else like the product we have, and you would have heard that so many times. But you also cannot buy this product in the shop. The only way that people can bridge their gap in their nutrition with just fruits and vegetables is by coming to us. That's it. Yeah. And we are so lucky that the company has decided to use the network marketing model, because we're able to create an income this way. So for number one, you can't buy it anywhere else except through us, which is amazing. So we don't sell, and I mean, no disrespect to any other company, but we don't sell mascaras, bath bombs, body care, fat wraps, whatever, coffee, that you can all just go and buy from the shop. Like, when people approach me about buying a mascara, I'm like, guys, I just literally go to Boots and grab whatever's is on special offer, because a mascara has not changed my life. But this product absolutely changes people's lives, and so does this business. And that is something that I don't believe there's any other network marketing company out there, or own business, that can say that. And so for that, I think we're so lucky, and I'm so grateful someone found me to explain it. And so we've got our job is to share that with other people. Like, how dare we not share this product with people, because you have no idea what they might be going through, and you have no idea what it might do for them, even if it just gives them more energy. Think about those tired stay-at-home mums who are juggling 4 kids, and they've lived off so much coffee that their mental health is going down, or they just can't get through. What if you just share those products with that person, and they completely have a 180 or 360 even, and that changes their life? Like, that's phenomenal. That's, for me, those stories are worth more than a financial check.
Yeah. Great. Well, look, let's just get into some questions now. So everyone, if you could just be thinking of the questions that you'd like to ask Luce. And but I think a very common question that people often ask is, look, I've got customers, but how do I talk to my customers about the business? And how do I talk to them in such a way where I'm not like losing them, because they're so valuable? So how do you broach the subject of the business with your customers?
Yeah, so for me, team is super easy. Like, I find the business side of things really, really simple. And I always 4 months, once that person's coming up for their first shipment, always get them to fill out a questionnaire. So there's actually a Juice Plus questionnaire on the VO. I don't know if it's in the UK VO, but it is in the Australian one. It's called the Juice Plus Experience. It just asks people questions. And this is what was asked of me when I didn't think these capsules were working. And I was reading through and I was like, oh, actually, yes, I have had that. Oh, yes, I have had that. And I try and get from them their experience. If they're having a really good experience, I ask them if they know anybody else who would benefit from these, from this. And if they say yes, then I introduce them to the business. And I explain it in a couple of ways. They can have a family account, which is literally just 2 to 3 customers, and they earn enough to just pay their own product. So it kind of works as you're getting a discount on your product. You can look after your own account, do whatever you want to do with it. You can look after your family with their account, and so on. Or you can treat it like a business and go from it from there, depending on their circumstances. So that's how I normally approach customers.
Yeah, I love that about the family account. I really, really like that, because that's such an easy way and a nice way of getting people started, just in a, just with a few customers, the family, and then suddenly they're going to get excited and go even further. Yeah.
And if they're like a young 21-year-old, then I call it like a wholesale account. It's more just sort of like the 100 to 200 pounds a month kind of person. That's how I speak to them on that level. If they're like the 500 pounds plus, I speak slightly differently. But I think it's really important to not go into the conversation scared. Don't go into the conversation scared of putting them off. Just be like, hey, look, this is what it is. You can say no, that's totally okay. But it's, I feel like I'm doing you an injustice if I don't share this with you.
Oh, I love that. Now, do you have like an ideal person in your mind that you would like to join your team, or is it fairly open?
No, so I teach the team to have a specific customer avatar. So we do an exercise. I do an exercise with any new team member, and they have to actually like give that customer avatar a name. So my ideal customer, my ideal teamie is Rachel. Now, Rachel she's a corporate worker in a male-dominated environment, loves looking good, loves eating healthily, but likes wine and cheese and pizza on the weekend, doesn't shop at Gucci, but doesn't shop at Primark, so she's more like a top shop kind of person. Enjoys going for runs, enjoys going to the gym. Like, I get super specific. So when I post on social media, that is who I'm talking to. I'm not talking to everybody. I'm just talking to one specific person. Do I get that person? Maybe 1 out of 10. But my mission and my message stays consistent. And that 1 in 10, when I do get that person's normally one of my very strong legs. So my 5 strong legs are all Rachel's. And if you hadn't worked it out already, Rachel is from Suits. It's pretty much the girl from Suits. or Megan, who has obviously just married Prince Harry. Yeah. She is she is my customer avatar. My 5 strong legs, they might have totally different avatars to me, but that's what I teach my team, is to get really specific and nail it down to literally like where they shop, what they eat, what they do, because they're the groups that I then go into to try and build relationships, and they're the signs that I look for.
I love that. Now, tell us a little bit more about Teamsy. Have you got everyone using Teamsy? So it's across the whole team. You do the avatars, you do Teamsy. Yeah.
Yeah, so we do. So Teamsy's free for 30 days. Yeah. On the 20th of every month for 10 days, I run an MFA group, which is massive fucking action. And for 10 days, they have to commit to using Teamsy, and they have to commit doing their power hour. And I can add them to my team, so I can see who's, doing 100% and things like that. And we run little competitions, and I do big shout outs for the ones that have stayed consistent. So from the 10th to the 20th, we run our like shred 10. We call it a reset 10. And then from after that, we run our MFA group. So that's from the 20th to the 30th and that's obviously the end of the month. So it's really like get going, get everybody involved, really get them all working together.
That's amazing. And tell us a little bit about the events that you run now, because you were saying earlier that you were running mainly customer events, but are you running business building events now, or not so much?
I at the moment I've now stopped. So we've stopped now anything.
Coming,
because baby's coming. We've just locked in a couple of big events for next year.
What are they going to be?
So one of them is a business building event that I'm doing with Lucy Davis. So it's very much similar to a Juice Plus Power Day, but not Juice Plus, not how to get to SC, things like that. It's very deep and connecting your head to your heart and things like that. And then following up with growing on social media, being authentic. So that's one of our big events that we're running instead of obviously conference, because conference isn't running in March. Then for me, every month we normally do a real food, real people event, and that is purely customer focused. So we do basically a presentation on what dead food and live food is, so what food you should be eating to nourish your body. And then we have stories to share from people who have taken Juice Plus. And then we run a business and bubbles event. So very similar, we explain the business, we get people to share. So there are two main live events.
Business and bubbles?
Business and bubbles. Yeah, so it's business with a welcome drink of like Prosecco or a cocktail or something like, because my brand is very female dominated. So it's very much like socializing and drinking and things like that. Wow. So that will kick off again in January. Everything else we do is online events. So I do a lot of Facebook events, mostly. I don't rely on Zoom for events as much, because we found that our networks won't download it or won't log in, but they will log into a Facebook event. So that's how I started building my business. And so I've carried on those pretty much every month.
Wow, gosh, that's absolutely incredible. So, you know, I mean, it really, you know, if we were to ask, what are your goals now then? I mean, you know, you said that you've got the plan, you want to buy a house in Marlow, so that's very exciting. What
yeah.
You've got? You know, what are the big vision that you've got that gets you out of bed every day?
So, like, business goal for us is obviously going for IMD next year, but really my vision for the business and my vision for our brand is inspiring more women to become self-dependent. So I personally want to change my hometown. So I want my hometown to go from these women that are negative and nasty to each other. You can't go to mums groups because it's too cliquey. People are, you know, overweight and undernourished. Everyone's full of anxiety and depression. No one gets out. No one's friendly anymore. I want to completely change my hometown so people are more open to saying hello. They want to get outside with their kids more. They want to do more. There's less of this, you sort of tap into your local Facebook groups for your town. They make me cringe. And they make me sad, because people don't need to be like that. So for us, our mission with Female Boss Co is to help women become really healthy in themselves and help their mindset so they can inspire their family to do the same. Their family can help their family, and it's sort of a trickle effect. So as much as I want to change the world, that's quite big. For me, it's me and my family, and I've done that. My family is all on this health journey now. And so now for me, it's getting out into my community and doing exactly the same.
Wow, that's amazing. Yeah. So some people would say, you were talking about the corporate world at the beginning. How does this compare with the corporate world? I mean, and income wise, where are you at with that? And can you see yourself overtaking your corporate career, running your own business?
Yeah. So the month we hit NMD was the month that we hit. Actually, no. I was still a QNMD and I was bringing in more money than my corporate job was.
Wow.
I was really forced.
Working from home, earning more than you were from your corporate job.
Yeah, so my corporate job in Australia was 7 a.m. till 4 p.m. And it was an hour's drive into the city and about an hour and a half back with traffic.
In Sydney?
I was in Perth.
Right.
And when I went on to maternity leave. So one of my other like big pinnacle points was I have always been one of the only females in very male dominated industries. So I worked for a massive software company when I graduated, and I was the only woman. So there were 800 people interviewed for these graduate jobs. 7 people got it, and I was the only girl. And then when I went to Australia, I worked for oil and gas companies, which again was very male dominated. And it was 2 months before I went on maternity leave. I was working in my team. So I had a team, like they weren't my team, we just all sort of worked together. There was 10 of us in total. I was the only woman. And we had all just had our pays changed from fortnightly to monthly, because in Australia, you sort of get paid every 2 weeks. And we're having this discussion about like what we'd been taxed and how different it was. And I started to listen to everyone's like figures. Now, I'd been there the longest and I'd got a degree. None of these people were qualified in what we did, and I trained them all to do it. And they were all saying numbers higher than mine. And I thought, none of you have hit target yet. You're all too new. How are you earning more money than me? And I said to him, I was like, how much are you on a year? He was on $10,000 more than I was a year. I asked everybody else. They were all on $10,000 more a year than I was, so about £5,000. And I went to my boss and I said, how is it that these people are getting paid this much and I'm only getting paid this much? And he just kind of brushed me off with, oh, I didn't hire you, I wasn't responsible. So I asked for a pay rise, and I was told they didn't have any money to give me a pay rise and that they'd look at it when I came back from maternity leave. 2 weeks later, our marketing manager, who was a bloke, got a 10 grand pay rise. And it was at that point that I decided I was never going back to this corporate world again, because that's exactly what happened to me in the UK. I was one of the only women. I was lowest paid. I was treated as the office wife. You know, I was always taken out, you know, big account managers would take me along to lunches with their clients so I could wine and dine them. And yes, when I was 20, 21, that was cool. But as I was trying to grow the ladder, I was realizing that this actually wasn't an environment for me. As a quite an outspoken woman, this wasn't an environment for me. So I decided to quit, well, not quit because I had to go on maternity leave, but I decided I was never going to return. They kept calling me. So I was entitled to 1 year's maternity, and it was unpaid. So in Australia, you don't get paid maternity leave. So this was paid, Juice Plus was paying my way through. I was getting hounded by my boss to come back early because they didn't have anyone to fill my shoes. They were really struggling with the brand, things like that. And I actually said to them, I was like, and at this point, I was only earning half of my income. I was only earning half of what my corporate job was bringing in. And I just thought, I don't need this job. Like, do you know what? Stuff you. Like, I'm not coming back. And I said to them, you know what? Actually, I'm not coming back. You can find a replacement for me. Go do what you want to do. And I remember putting the phone down thinking, oh my God, what have I just done? I've just quit my job. How am I going to get through Christmas? And it was the next month we actually were going to Barcelona conference. So I was flying from Australia to the UK to Barcelona, and then doing a bit of a tour around the UK. And I was thinking, oh my God, I've got all these flights to pay for and conference, and how am I going to do this? And you know what? The next month, my pay was more than my corporate job's income. And it was as if the universe was like patting me on the back saying, well done for being true to who you are, standing up for yourself. Your business is going to be fine. And since then, it's maintained a more than a full-time income.
Amazing. Luce, you've been absolutely incredible. I can't thank you enough. I mean, very candid, very open, and just some of the stuff. I mean, I've taken 3 pages of notes here. Seriously, I mean, you know, this is really, really impressive. So I absolutely can't thank you enough. You've been superb. And we will look forward to seeing you in Edinburgh.
I can't make Edinburgh, sadly. It's too close.
I get it.
I've got 3 weeks of bed-bound recovery until I can go anywhere.
And the most amazing thing is, whilst you're giving birth, your business will be growing. So, I mean, it's phenomenal, isn't it?
Exactly. Hopefully they'll be doing some end-of-month hustles while I'm lying there.
Well, Luce, it's amazing. Thank you very, very much indeed for joining us.
You're welcome.
I'll get that over to you.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Take care. Bye for now.
Bye-bye.
Brilliant. Thank you. Bye.